Good morning and welcome to Straight Talk on Social Media. Thank you to those of you who have made the switch over to the new webinar location and we'll be doing this monthly from here on out instead of every other week. So I appreciate you joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about Twitter advertising. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and launch into the news from today. First of all, a couple of news items. I'm not sure why my headline just disappeared, but Facebook has announced the redesign of its news feed, and so this was announced yesterday that Facebook is redesigning its feed basically to give you a few more controls over what you're seeing. They want it to be sort of like an online newspaper, and what will happen is that you'll have sort of different categories for what you want to see. So you can see photos, or you can see videos, or you can see other types of things that people are sharing, and you can also filter it by whether you want to see the pages that you're following or your friends, that kind of thing. And as you can see from this view here, they're also trying to make it so that it looks consistent across different kinds of devices, whether you're looking at it on a computer or an iPad or a mobile phone. It's going to look similar on all platforms. So this change to the news feed will be rolling out in the next few weeks and months here, and so we'll keep you apprised. We may do a special webinar on it, once it has been released more widely. But anyway, something to look forward to. Facebook bought a company that belonged to Microsoft called Atlas. And Atlas is an online ad company, and Facebook has bought it in a bid as they're sort of moving toward their an ad network that they will use to allow their advertisers to use their network to advertise in places beyond just Facebook. So Atlas is sort of a step in that direction. So again, we've sort of seen different moves recently of Facebook setting up this ad network. This is one more step in that process, and we'll when there's something more to show you about their ad network, when they sort of announce it and get it up and running, we'll let you know. Speaking of this, actually, and I should have mentioned this on the last slide when I was looking at the new profile, I just saw an article this morning that said that a lot of advertisers were sort of surprised when they saw the new Facebook news feed. And actually, I'll go back to that slide so you can see it, because at least at first glance, it didn't appear that there was going to be much room for advertisements. So Facebook is claiming that the new news feed is going to be good for advertisers, and yet none of this that we're seeing here on this screen is a Facebook ad. So anyway, that led to some questions among people who use Facebook for ads, sort of saying, well, I wonder what their plan is for creating ads with the new news feed. Another bit of news from the last couple of months. Both Jeep and Burger King had their Twitter accounts hacked. Really, it was within the same 24-hour period a couple weeks ago, and this led to all sorts of questions about whether Twitter should be sort of creating new account safeguards, particularly for business accounts. So you can see here, this is what whoever hacked the Jeep page, they set their own background, and then they also started putting out their own tweets that were clearly not from Jeep, so it's interesting to this question of security when it comes to Twitter and sort of what they're going to do about it. Whether they might sort of set up something special for companies so that there's an extra added level of security. Because right now all there is really is it's just tied to it's just a normal username and password like it would be for anyone on Twitter. So raised some questions, and it will be interesting to see if and how Twitter responds to that. So that's the news. And speaking of Twitter, we'll move into the focus, which is Straight Talk on Twitter advertising. So I have talked a lot in these webinars about Facebook advertising and shown you a lot about how that works and the different ways you can do it. Twitter advertising is pretty similar, but I did want to give you an overview because I have not done that before. The first thing that I noticed, and I'll show you this in my first couple of slides, is that it is not as Twitter advertising is not as sort of on demand as Facebook advertising is. I don't mean in demand. I mean you can't just sort of go and access it as easily as you might hope to. So let me show you what I mean. When you first get started with Twitter advertising, basically anywhere from their site, when you start expressing an interest in advertising, they start you off with a couple of questions. So they want to know what country you're located in. They also want to know what your estimated monthly budget is for digital advertising. And the options under that estimated monthly budget, the only options they give you are between $0 to $5,000 or $5,000 and more. So I put in, and I was just playing around with this yesterday, I put in that we're located in the United States, and I said the estimated monthly budget was $5,000 or less. And what happened next, and sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. What happened next is that they asked me for my contact information and my company and phone number and all that kind of stuff. And once I put all that in, then it said, "Thank you. We'll be contacting you about Twitter advertising." So it was not even we're asking you for some information as sort of a gateway into getting started with Twitter advertising. It was really, kind of, don't call us, we'll call you. So actually all of the information that I have for this webinar today is pulled from screenshots and things like that. I have not yet heard back from Twitter, so it will be interesting to see sort of how long it takes them to respond and what it takes for them to sort of let you into this advertising world of theirs. So just bear that in mind if you're getting started with Twitter. It may not be a sort of instant thing like it is with Facebook, where you can just go directly into the Facebook ads section and start creating an ad. Once you've gotten started, there are 3 kinds of ads that you can currently create with Twitter, and there are 3 kinds of things you can promote. You can promote your tweets, you can promote your account, and you can promote a trend. And I'll talk about each one of those in turn. So first of all, promoted tweets. Here you can see an example of a promoted tweet, the Wildfire by Google, and this is one that pops up for me when I'm on Twitter, basically as Pivot Group. And so you can see here that it is actually a tweet that Wildfire has written, and then you can tell below that it's promoted by Wildfire. It tells me who some of the people who I follow are, or who Pivot follows are, who also follow Wildfire. And if I click on one of these links in their feed, it'll just be like a normal tweet, right? So this link would take me off to an external site. This link would take me to Wildfire App's Twitter feed, that sort of thing. So it's pretty similar in that way to a promoted post in Facebook, and I'll talk a little bit more about those parallels later on. So that's promoted tweet. And in terms of how you start getting that set up, when you first go in to set up a promoted tweet, it's going to ask you sort of how do you want to reach your audience? Do you want to have your promoted tweets come up when people are searching, so in their search results, or do you want it to show up on people's timelines, which is how it showed up for me in the screenshot I just showed you? Or do you want it to just be the tweet that shows up at the very top of your profile? So for example, and this is sort of the example that I heard used. If you had a big event coming up and you knew that a lot of people were checking out your Twitter account, but you wanted to make sure that they could find the registration link for your event easily, then you could really just promote that single tweet about the registration for your event to the top of your feed, so that even as you continue to tweet, that tweet is always staying at the top of your feed on your profile. So that's what targeting your profile means. And then, so for the search results, you're able to go ahead and put in which search results you want to target. So you can put in keywords. What are the keywords that you think people who might be interested in you might be typing into Twitter, and what are the keywords that you want to be associated with. So it's similar to a Google AdWords campaign in that regard. You're dealing with search keywords. Different from a Facebook ad in that you're not dealing so much with the demographics of a person. You know, Twitter, because of the profile information they do and don't ask for, Twitter essentially knows less about you than Facebook does, about who you are, what your interests are, that kind of thing. So that's just something to think about. So you are dealing with a keyword search here if you're promoting your tweets through search results. If you are promoting your tweets through people's timelines, then you have the option to, you can target it to your own followers, or you can also target it to people who are like your followers, which I think is sort of an interesting, interesting phrase they're using there. But basically, it's going to be users who are probably following similar things to the people who your followers are using. So that's the so that will be the sort of audience that you're going to get if you're targeting people's timelines themselves. So, for instance, Wildfire showed up at the top of the pivot timeline because we have three of the people that we follow or that are following us also follow Wildfire. So they figure, well, there are enough people in common here that probably this pivot group is going to be interested in us as well. So that's how Twitter sort of figures out who to include in that users like your followers category. And then, again, there's the targeting your own Twitter profile. So as you can see, it says your tweet appears at the top of your Twitter profile when users visit that page. So those are the three options for how you target your promoted tweets. And then once you've done that, then you get to select which tweets you want to promote. So this is an example that HubSpot showed. So they've got all these all their recent tweets shown here, and they can select the ones that they want to promote, and they can promote a new tweet. So they can totally write a new tweet. And of course, if you're doing a promoted tweet, that means you are limited to 140 characters, as you would be with any tweet on Twitter. And then the next sort of category type of thing you can promote on Twitter is a promoted account. So that means as opposed to just promoting one thing that you said, a tweet, in this case you're going to promote your whole account. So you're going to say anybody who, we want people to come over and see our Twitter account. So you can see an example of a promoted account here, Pop Money showing up here as a promoted account in the list of who to follow, which is where your promoted account would get shown. And then you have the way you set up promoted accounts. You're basically going to, they ask you who do you want to follow you, and you get to put in some different interests, and these interests then tie back into other accounts. So if I say that I'm interested in, if I have followed on Twitter, if I've followed a bunch of technological companies, and another company comes in and says they want to do a promoted account campaign and target people interested in technology, then they might show me that promoted account because I'm a person who, it's clear, given my who I follow, it's clear that my interests lie in technology. So they're sort of using who you already follow as a basis to sort of determine what some of your interests are and get to know you a little bit. Probably also to an extent, I would assume, using people's descriptions of themselves on Twitter as well. So if you're mentioning specifically, that you love movies or that you're interested in the Mariners or whatever, then that's the sort of keyword they're going to pick up on in terms of your interests. And then the third kind of thing you can promote on Twitter, the third kind of ad you can run is for a promoted trend. And a promoted trend is really, these are for topics or for hashtags that are trending on Twitter that are sort of, the ones that Twitter is showing you are the most popular. Well, you can actually get your trend, your topic, your hashtag on that list of promoted trends, which is sort of falsely telling people, hey, this topic is popular on Twitter right now. Well, it's not actually really popular on Twitter. Somebody's paid to try to make it popular on Twitter. So it's kind of interesting in that sense. But it can be a great way, if you want to promote a topic that you are sort of becoming an expert in, or if you want to promote a particular event that's going on for you, a promoted trend can be the way to do it. Now, the big difference with promoted trends here that you need to know about is that they are more costly than promoted accounts and promoted tweets. And in fact, from what I understand, you actually have to be in touch with Twitter directly to set up a promoted trend. You can't just set that up sort of through their automated system, their self-service system. So that's something to know. Promoted trends really are sort of a unique thing, and it makes a certain amount of sense. The way they come up with the accounts to show you, is it makes sense that they would let you promote yourself in that area because you might already be a natural fit for people who who are on Twitter. With a trend, you're really getting yourself up in the level of, if it's the memes that are going around and that are popular right now, right? If it's the Harlem Shake, or if it's Honey Boo Boo, or if it's, any of these things that might be trending on Twitter, those are the things, those are sort of the super popular thing that thousands of people are talking about. So it makes sense that it would cost more to get your trend up there in and among all of those things. So then in terms of your targeting and budget, so again, this would be for promoted tweets and promoted accounts, since those are the ones you can set up automatically. You can target for a specific location, which of course is always helpful. And then you can also target what type of device you want to target. I can see how this could be potentially really useful for our telecommunications clients, but really for anyone who wants to sort of say, well, I want to get people who are on their computers, but I don't care as much about mobile users. Or mobile users are the ones who I really want them, because they're the ones who might be out and about looking for something like me, that sort of thing. And then you have, again, very similar to Facebook advertising, you get to set the start and end of the campaign, how much you want to have in terms of a budget for the campaign, and how much of that you want to be a daily budget. What do you want the maximum bid price to be? So again, very similar to the way Facebook works. And then you give your campaign a name, and that's really all it takes in terms of setting up your Twitter ad campaign. And then they have analytics, just like Facebook does, so to be able to show you how your number of followers is growing for a promoted account campaign, and sort of how much you're spending. So you can see here in this example, 536 follows were received for a total spend of about $920, which, doing the math quickly in my head, means that you're spending somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.75 per follower. And then more analytics then, just showing you the number of impressions that you've got for particular promoted tweets, and then the average click rate that you're getting for the total number of clicks, and then how much you're spending on that as well. So again, it's just giving you information to sort of tell you how these campaigns are performing. So I want to end today with, I do have takeaways, but I also have some considerations. So I think I have like 5 considerations and 6 takeaways to sort of talk about. So in considerations, it's really, what I mean by that is, what are the questions that you should ask yourself as you are thinking about getting into Twitter advertising? So first of all, I think the main question is Twitter where my audience is, or is it where my audience I think should be or will be, if it's a target audience who maybe I haven't gone after yet. This is a really big one. If you don't think that the demographics of your users or your people in your local area, or whoever's going to be potential consumers of your product or service, if you don't think that those people are on Twitter, then Twitter advertising may not make sense for you. However, it could be a way to open yourself up to a completely new market of people who you haven't really been in touch with before, who haven't really encountered your brand yet. Another consideration, sort of as with any campaign, what is your strategy going to be? Are you going to be trying to ultimately drive people to your site through a promoted tweet? Is that the ultimate goal? Is your goal to just try to raise your number of Twitter followers because you're trying to sort of raise brand awareness. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And given that, what types of advertising campaigns should you do? What is a follower worth? I think this is a really important question. You saw in the promoted account analytics sample that I showed you a minute ago, I said that it was coming out to around somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.75 per follower. So is it worth it to you to spend $1.75 for each person who's going to come in and follow you on Twitter? Some people would say, sure, that's not bad at all, and some people would say, oh, that's really not, why would I spend that much to get somebody to follow me? So where is that number, and can you sort of generate Twitter advertising that is good enough to make it make sense for you? How much can I spend? Obviously, you need to figure out what your budget is, and just know that that's going to limit or increase your possibilities in terms of the number of people you can reach through Twitter. And then what do I want to promote? Do I want to promote my Twitter account so that more people are following me, or do I want to promote a tweet so that I can actually get people clicking through to my website, or or back to my Twitter account so they can follow me, things like that? What do I want to promote? Or do I want to promote trend? Is there something that is so big that's coming up for me that I really want to try to make a big splash about it, whether it's in my particular area or whatever? What do I want to promote a particular trend to really catch people onto a popular idea? And then some takeaways then. The first three takeaways I have are just to draw some analogies about the different types of Twitter advertising. First of all, promoted accounts, those are like running Facebook ads that point back to your Facebook page, right? So when you're promoting your account, it's really keeping the user within Twitter. It's not going to take them out of Twitter by clicking on the promoted account link. Really the goal with these, as it is for Facebook ads for company pages that point back to pages, the goal is to increase your followers and your likers. That's what promoted accounts are for. Promoted tweets are more like regular Facebook ads that point to external websites, and they're also like Facebook promoted posts. In fact, they are practically identical to Facebook promoted posts. So that's something to just think about. Promoted tweets are the ones where, especially if you're doing sort of a campaign that supports another campaign, promoted tweets are going to be the ones that get people back to your website as opposed to just to your Twitter account, if that makes sense. That's something to think about, an important distinction between those two. And then third takeaway, promoted trends are really their own beast. They're an offering that's unique to Twitter. Facebook doesn't at this point have anything like it because they don't have a sense of things that are trending or popular on Facebook yet. That's not something that they're offering. So promoted trends are really a unique sort of thing. Again, that's part of the reason why they are more expensive. Remember, as I found out, that there may be an initial wait. This is not something that you're able to pick up and start in a day, as it is with Facebook advertising. So just be prepared for that if you do want to get into Twitter advertising, to make sure that you are keeping your schedule in mind, and you know that you may not be able to start instantaneously. And remember that a Twitter campaign is probably still at this point just going to be part of your overall mix. It's probably not going to be your main and only source of advertising. You're probably not going to have a campaign that is solely on Twitter, unless you really are trying to build up Twitter buzz. But the odds are good that Twitter is going to be a supporting part of your campaign in the same way that Facebook ads are for most of our clients. And the last takeaway here is that if your target market sort of is the same people who are already using Twitter, that's where you're most likely to get success, right? So if the people that you really want to attract are the people who are already on Twitter, that means you're going to have the broadest audience, and those are the people who are going to stand up and pay attention. That's sort of your sweet spot for a Twitter campaign. So just bear that in mind as well. So those are my takeaways. There are a couple of questions here. So So one of the questions here is, what do you think is the most effective promoted tweets, trends, or accounts? Does it vary by business or by goal? Hopefully I've explained that a little bit. I guess I would say, you know, again, unless your goal ultimately is just to try to beef up your Twitter numbers, I really think a promoted tweet is probably going to be your best bet, because that's what's going to actually let people go back to your website, you know, actually extend a particular offer that you have, or something like that. So that's I think the promoted tweet is probably your best bet, again, unless your overall goal is to boost up the numbers on your Twitter account. And then another question here: how do I evaluate or figure out if my desired user is on Twitter? And that's a great question. I think that the answer to that, I mean, there are all sorts of sites that will give you sort of demographics on who Twitter users are. You know, it does tend to skew toward younger people. So if your demographic is largely made up of older people, then you may want to think about that. On the other hand, it may be that this is just the perfect thing that sort of gets you in front of the younger people in your area, even though it's traditionally older people who use your products or your services. So that's another thing to think about. So there are websites. If you Google Twitter demographics, you'll find a lot of information out there about who is using Twitter, and in general, and you may even be able to find sort of geographical information about where, you know, sort of around the country, where are people using Twitter more and where less. And so that will help you sort of figure out, you know, how many people are in your area, are in, you know, are they the right ages, that sort of thing. And just given, I mean, Twitter is one of these sites, add is the last thing here, Twitter is one of these sites sort of like Facebook, where in general their reach is so big, their user base is so big, that you're at least going to have some people in your area or whatever who are going to be appropriate for your in terms of your target market. So you know, the fact that you're paying by click is a good thing here, right? Because that means that you've actually found somebody who's interested enough in what you have to say to click on your link and go forward. So so you know, I do think that sort of regardless of where you are, just given how big Twitter is, you're going to be able to find people who are in your target market or who might be interested in your company. So that's all I have for today. Thank you again for making the switch over to this monthly format. So we'll be doing this on the second Friday of each month from here on out. So the next one will be Friday, April 12th at 11 o'clock Pacific time. Still hoping to do that on the Facebook social graph search. I may also be doing it on the new Facebook news feed. So it will be undoubtedly something related to Facebook. We'll just see which one. For our telco clients, Dave Neustron's next Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar is Wednesday, March 27th at 11 o'clock Pacific. We hope you join us for that as well. Thank you all so much for your time. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember to keep your media social and your talk straight.